Hi, today we're going to talk to Tiffany and Julio Avila from the Hometown Chef Catering and Company, and they're going to talk to us all about the amazing new foods that they make, how they incorporate the menu, how they work with a customer, and also what services they offer for you for your upcoming wedding. Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business or how it started?
Sure.
Let's get started there.
It's a great story.
Yay, I'm excited to hear it.
Yes. So my husband, Chef Julio, has been in the culinary industry for 19 years.
Okay.
He graduated from the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America, not the other CIA. He has worked at resorts and hotels all over the United States and in the Caribbean. And when we met, we started a family later in life. And so we wanted to basically start our own business. He always wanted to be in the catering industry, wanted to get out of the corporate world and start our own, have some flexibility with our time, be able to put creativity back into his, what he loves to do, which is cooking. So we decided to start our own business, did some small projects here and there, and then were approached by a gentleman who was starting a wedding venue. He was purchasing it and renovating it, wanted us to do the food and beverage for the event, and we said absolutely. And so he brought us on board, and that's where it all started. When we started, we didn't have any staff or equipment, supplies, menus, anything.
Wow.
And so he said, oh, and we have 30 booked brides, so we need you to contact them right away. And so it was a whirlwind, just moved right into it very quickly.
Sounds very stressful at the beginning.
It was, but we knew that it was the start of exactly what we wanted to do. And so we just hit the ground running, and it's been an amazing experience and grown exponentially from there.
Okay. What makes you different compared to other caterers?
One of the main things is that my husband is actually a trained chef.
Okay.
And nothing against other, caterers, but his extensive background in fine dining is one of the main things that sets us apart. Also, I believe the fact that he wants to put creativity into what he does. So we're finding that brides want that. They want a flexible menu. They want creative options because they want their weddings different than all their friends who are getting married. So those are probably the two main aspects that set us apart.
What makes you different in the kitchen compared as a chef to other caterers?
Well, let me tell you, love.
Love?
I have so much love and passion in what we do. And when we hire, when I decided to start a business and start hiring, I brought a chef. So to work with me, and they have the same passion that I do, and that's a plus.
That's
because you can see the results, in a different way. Even when I'm not there, I know it's gonna be perfect because they love it. They love what they do.
Okay.
We're very integrated to our standards.
That's good. It's really important.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me why our bride should choose you for their wedding?
Well, when you're looking for a caterer, of course you want amazing food, and we've got that taken care of. But you also need someone who pays attention to detail, because a wedding is a well-orchestrated event, and a caterer can ruin everything if they don't know what they're doing. There are no do-overs in this business. I mean, a wedding is a one show. And so we realize that we have to execute everything perfectly. Our service staff has to be immaculate. And then we present the amazing food. In addition to that, it's the after portion of cleaning up and leaving these venues cleaner than when we arrived, because it's about developing relationships within the industry as well. So there's so many details, and brides don't think about those. So we educate them on all the different aspects of the food service for their wedding. From start to finish, when the bride arrives, she's getting her hair and makeup done, all the way through to again, having a day of coordinator is going to be very important. That would probably be my biggest tip for executing a perfect event, because again, there are some details throughout the day that don't crop up until the actual event happens.
And the bride's too busy having fun.
Exactly right, and she
Yeah,
should be.
I would say leave the people that know what they're doing do the job.
Yes.
Don't try to pretend that you know, put family and friends. I mean, they help a lot, but there's people that know, they do this every day. They know exactly, you know, what to do, what not to do.
Oh, I completely agree with you. Yeah.
That's my biggest tip.
Yeah. That's a good tip.
The easy answer for how to plan for your guests, which is one of the biggest questions we get, and it's the most stressful for the brides, we will actually wait up until 2 weeks prior to the wedding date to get a guest count. In this day and age, people are not good about RSVPing, and that adds a lot of stress to the bride. We will prepare enough food for the number of guests. We do a little bit of overage just to, you know, compensate, but that's nothing that the bride has to worry about as far as portion control or portioning or anything. If she tells us she's got 200 guests, we're going to be making food for 200 guests. Another key point is to keep in mind counting all of your bridal party, your vendors, any extra folks, because in our beginning days, before we knew to ask those questions, that can be, you know, 20 plus people that you have to accommodate for. So we turn in our numbers to the chef 2 weeks prior for planning and preparation, and the main thing is that we do not run out of food. I think that's a bride's biggest concern and fear, is that we will not be running out of food at her wedding.
Yeah. What is the biggest wedding that you've done so far?
Well, the biggest wedding has been 450.
Wow.
The largest event has been 660. But but there's 3 options for dinner service, and so we present these options to the bride. So a plated meal service where the servers come to the table, a buffet option or food presentation option where the brides, when they choose that, their guests will go through the line and pick and choose what they're putting on their plate. And then finally food stations, which is a new emerging concept that people are very excited about. So you place stations throughout the ballroom. The guests get to go to whichever one, but we make enough food for every guest to have, a portion from each station.
How was it executing that 600 plated event? I mean, that's hard.
You know what, let me tell you. And it's something that I learned from experience in 19 years this year. It's all about preparation.
Yes.
It's all about being ahead of the game. That's the key. It's the same of doing cooking for 100 people, 10 people, or 600. It's just a multiplying factor. But you have to it's planning. It's all planning. Don't wait until last minute.
Oh
no. Make sure that you have everything planned
and
days
organized.
Before.
Very organized, and that was the key, and that's why we did so well with it.
And always have the worst case scenario, what can happen. Have that plan B, because you don't want to go to that day, and
mess
find
up.
out. Oops.
We don't have salary for the whole.
And it's also manpower. I mean, you have the right people to guide. You have the people, and it's the same. It's just more people.
Do you also provide? Well, next question. What are your services that you provide? Do you provide the banquet servers and all of that, or do you get from other companies and coordinate with them?
That's a good question. We have a core group of servers that work with us all the time. Specific servers go to different locations so that they are consistently, so that they get to know the venue very well. In an event that is as large as 450, 600 people, we will have we will have other servers come in from an agency that supplies us, but we don't use them that often, just for our larger events. But the manpower is the key, and I tell brides to make sure that their caterer has a good ratio. It should be anywhere from 1 to 25 to 1 to 30 guests, one server per 25 guests, one server per 30 guests for a buffet. You don't want to be understaffed with your catering company. For us, we also have 2 options. We can either do high-end acrylics as far as serviceware, or we can provide china. So we do everything from bar services, food service, and then even your serviceware as well.
So the whole package.
The whole package.
Okay.
Make it nice and easy, one-stop shop.
Good. What is one thing you wish your brides would have ready once they go into that meeting with you?
This is a real key point. A budget. It's simple. When you want to have an idea of what you're wanting to spend. Of course, our job as caterers is to educate brides on what it's actually going to cost. I laugh to myself when they say, well, if I were to make this meal, it would cost this amount. And then they are, whoa. With a caterer, we're going to have so many other aspects of this portion of your wedding taken care of, from service staff and everything involved in that. So having a budget is key, and then we can educate them on all the aspects of if they need to have, increase their budget, or ways that we can trim and cut if they say that's just a little bit outside of the realm. So
to make the best out of it, there's ways to do it.
And I think that gives them real peace of mind, because the cost is always the most nerve-wracking thing when it comes to getting married. And they appreciate the fact that we're willing to show them places within their budget that they can trim and cut to make it, and still make it perfect and memorable for their guests.
What are some tips that you can give brides when choosing a caterer and going through that rigorous process of what are we gonna serve? Or, now everybody's like, oh, I'm a vegan, I'm gluten-free, I'm a vegetarian. How do you tie that all in together to make a perfect menu and a perfect event?
Well, the first thing I can tell you is you want to choose a caterer that has incredible responsiveness. I have a lot of brides who compliment us saying, thank you for such a quick response, and we don't know any different. So I know that that's important, because I know what they're thinking is, if they're paying attention to me now in the planning process, I know that on my wedding day everything's going to be perfect. So we want to give them that peace of mind. That's very important. The other things are communication is very, very important. It's all about expectations in the wedding industry. You know this already, especially when it comes to food. And so we offer tastings for our food, but at the same time, we want to make sure that people know that we have the ability to customize menus and to give brides, there's so many choices. They can get very, very overwhelmed. So communicating what her expectations are so that she gets exactly what she wants on the day of her wedding.
Great. What are some tips that you can give our brides to have a perfect event?
That is a great question, because that is ultimately what they want. They want a seamless, wonderful wedding. Tips for them, it's kind of a detailed question depending on the venue. I highly recommend a day of wedding coordinator that is not a family member, that is not someone who's going to be in your wedding party, because your caterer will have some day of questions, although we get through all of that as much as possible so we don't have to bother anybody. But that's one important tip.
Like I said before, we've done Nigerian food, Asian, Indian, Caribbean is kind of easy for me. That's besides the normal. You can have Italian, the Mexican food is delicious also. And American food is regional, so they all depend where you're from in the United States. Like big countries like that, you're gonna have some Cajun food from here, and or somewhere like. It all depends on influence or where they come from. So, because what I've done in my career, I've been exposed to all of that, and I always give my personal touch to it, because I think that's important. I mean, you don't want to just copy paste a recipe. I don't work with recipes. Maybe I can look at it to make sure that I have the basics. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we can do.
Customized menus is
and
huge.
It keeps me out of the routine, which I love, because we have menus. You need a starting point to help make a decision. Okay. But besides that, I love when I just get out of my own menus and start having fun with it.
Where can our brides reach you?
The best way to reach us is at our website, www.thehometownchef.com.
Okay.
We also can be reached via phone at 832-304-1433. Those are the two most easiest ways to reach us.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We want to thank Fisher Lane Building and Design for the beautiful model home / our studio today. And we also want to thank Tiffany and Julio Avila all the way down here and explaining to us all about their amazing food, please head to our Facebook page and our YouTube page, The Bridal Extravaganza Show.